No. How do you know? How do you know his teammates are cool with it? I'm just curious. Because the teammates didn't know about it until yesterday. Tyrod didn't know about it. And I mean, little fun fact, the last starting quarterback to be fined for missing mandatory minicamp, unexcused, was anybody? Aaron Rodgers.
Oh.
With the Green Bay Packers in 2021, which speaks to a couple things. One is it hasn't happened with any other starting quarterback in the last 3 years. And also Aaron, at least at that point in time, was sandwiched right between league MVP years, and he, not so subtly wanted more money. There was, rift with the organization. You get it. Even if you don't love it, it at least makes more sense. And this idea, like I have had to listen to people go on and blame Robert Salah. I actually feel badly for Robert Salah in this spot. There is no right answer here, which is clearly some people within the organization or teammates don't love this, or else you just call it excused. And if all of a sudden there's not going to be a fight, people are like, there could be a fight with the union about it. No, there's not. The union is the one who tries to prevent people from getting fined. That wouldn't be a problem. It's like, then Hassan Reddick might get mad. Hassan Reddick's not even really on the team yet. You're not worried about that. So someone thinks it's a big enough deal that Aaron Rodgers is reportedly on vacation rather than being at mandatory minicamp, which is why they're doing it publicly. And I really like and respect Mike Greenberg. But I had to listen to Mike Greenberg go on Aaron Rodgers' talk show of choice today and say that, quote, Aaron has done everything right up to this point. Huh? The Jets had to make contingencies in real time of what are we going to do if our quarterback runs for vice president. The Jets are not allowed to pick their own offensive coordinator because of this guy. And now they're not allowed to have the same minicamp that every other team in the league gets to have because he's on vacation. Wow. And we're saying that it's Robert Saleh's fault for what? For not lying about it? That's what we're saying, Brew, is that Robert Saleh should have lied. That he should have gotten up there and been like, guys, it's excused. Everyone's on the same page. It's fine. It's a personal matter for Aaron. No, he shouldn't have. And so I find the whole thing ludicrous.
You can see how uncomfortable Salah is in these press conferences. I mean, I agree with you in that Salah has done nothing wrong. Okay, he's the one that's got to get up here and put a nice face on this mess. Okay, now there's reporting coming out that Rodgers planned a trip during rehab, when he was rehabbing, and didn't know exactly when minicamp was going to be.
So what, you didn't want to get the change fee? It's like $500.
I'm just saying, this is legitimate reporting that is out there, and that it's not excused because you can't excuse a trip. That's what the reporting is out there. Now that, with all due respect to the reporters, sounds like spin.
Of course.
That sounds like spin. Because you're exactly right. First of all, Rodgers had an idea. I don't know if he knew they would have known the exact dates of the minicamp at that time, but he had an idea of when it takes place, right? Yeah. And even if it did conflict, like you said, you got enough money to change it's 2 days.
Yeah,
you can change the trip. So this is
not a lot of flights into the greater New York City area.
There is.
Oh, okay, good point.
We had Ephraim Salam, who played 15 years in the league as an offensive lineman, on our show, The Odd Couple, last night. Right. Oh. And he said that if he were a veteran playing, and he said he believes the veterans are bothered by this.
Of course.
Now, the young kids who still look up to Aaron Rodgers, and maybe they're not. But the veterans are like, look, I had to come here and work for these 2 days. You gonna be on vacation?
It's 2 days.
Look, I don't think it's gonna ruin the way he played. If he has a bad year, it's not gonna be because of this. If he has a great year, obviously this wouldn't matter. But it sets a bad tone. It makes you look hypocritical. Yes, and the veterans got it. They're men. I don't care how good you are. They're grown men.
Can I tell you?
Okay, so I really want to talk about this because we've already loosely talked about it the other day, and there's been a lot of back and forth of how much this matters. And again, I think they actually did a better job this time of mapping out. I really understand both sides of this argument. I really, really do. But there's a few things that I really want to emphasize. Okay, one, because other people are saying, well, Aaron Rodgers, let them know in advance. That doesn't mean anything. That does not mean anything. It's mandatory. This is the priority. Everyone else is there except for the quarterback, the leader of the team. It is a bad look. And if you are a veteran player, it's obnoxious. You are frustrated at that. You're like, even if you love Aaron, even if you're best friends with him, you're like, I love you, man, but like, what the heck? Where do you get off going out on vacation or whatever while we all have to go to work? Like, no one likes that. No one likes that, whether you're the quarterback of an NFL team or if you're working at a small company, a big company, McDonald's, Walmart, wherever. No one likes when you have someone, a coworker, calling out for nonsense reasons. You're not just like, oh, hey, he's doing you. You're like, what the heck, man? You called out on Christmas Eve. None of us want to work on Christmas Eve. We all want to be off. Like, that's not fair. And so that's that feeling. So I get it. I get where that frustration is going to be. The coaching staff, everyone. Because, right, everyone else can make it. And all other quarterbacks and all other players from other teams can make it. So what makes you special? But again, on the grand scheme of things, it's not the biggest deal, but it's just not no deal. That's the way I look at it. It's not the biggest deal. Nick Wright is trying to blow it up like it's just the worst thing that ever has happened in the NFL, which is not the case. Which is, again, pretty comical considering all of the stuff that has been happening with Kansas City, and yet he doesn't want to talk about any of that. None of that. And you could make the argument, well, it's because those aren't quarterbacks, and I get it, but the things that are happening out of Kansas City are a lot worse. Way worse. Way worse, way worse, way worse. You either got a guy who's causing a whole issue, a whole political discourse of, men and women. You got a guy who's getting in crazy car crashes, almost literally ruining the lives of children, of families. And then you have another guy who is literally in trouble for violence against animals, against dogs, animal cruelty. So it's just been one thing after the other for Kansas City, and yet Nick doesn't want to talk about any of that. Surprise, surprise. And here's the other thing. I could be completely wrong. Okay, and so when you guys, I feel like usually these videos get a lot more views a couple days later, and so apparently it's going to be reported that Aaron, where Aaron is tomorrow. That's what Colin Cowherd said. It's been reported that he's on vacation for like 8-9 days and that he's overseas. That's all anyone knows, and this is based off of apparently like very trusted sources, and that it'll be more like details of actually where he is and what he's doing tomorrow. I'm going to take a guess. I'm going to take a straight up guess, and hopefully I'm right. If I'm not, then you guys will all clown me in the comments. I think he's probably on some sort of retreat. If he is just on a regular vacation where he's just like, sipping mojitos and chilling on the beach, I think that that's awful. I would think that that is awful, awful, awful. And I have defended Aaron. I have many videos defending Aaron where people are like, oh, you're just a New York Jets super fan. And I'm like, oh my God, right. I'm just apparently an every team fan. And it's just like, I've defended him and so that I think that he could be great. And any of his political ideologies, all that type of stuff, I defend him. But if he really is just kind of like sitting on a beach or just kind of like going on hikes through the mountains and like taking selfies with like some friends and stuff, like, then I think that's awful. I really do. But that's just straight up wrong. That's like indefensible to me. Even though minicamp is small in the grand scheme of things, it's still indefensible because it's mandatory and the rest of your team, your coworkers, your family essentially is there. You should be there too, especially when you are the leader. But I think he's on retreat of some sort. I think this is probably still more some of his spiritual type stuff, whether it's a darkness retreat, whether it's him taking some sort of substance that helps him get more spiritual, whether it's a meditation retreat. And for those of you who may not be familiar with that type of stuff, it's something that I'm very familiar with. Like, I know we live in a more like Christian, Jewish, dominant, like whatever it may be, Judeo-Christian dominant society. So like, just think of it as like him going on like to like a church retreat, to like a Christian retreat where he's talking with Christian leaders, whether it be you know, a father, a reverend, a nun, whatever it may be. He's going off. He's getting counsel. He's learning. He's praying. He's spending like a whole week doing nothing but praying, trying to get in touch with God, you know, that type of stuff. But it's just doing it from a different perspective, a different side of the same spiritual coin. That's what I think he's doing. And if he is doing that, I still wish he would have been able to schedule this differently. But the thing is that those things, when they are, if it is actually like a legitimate designated retreat with a specific teacher and all that type of stuff, it doesn't matter how rich you are. Aaron Rodgers can't just pick and choose when he wants to do that, because those teachers operate on their own time. Just like if the Dalai Lama or the Pope or some other Christian leader or whoever was out there, doesn't matter how rich you are. You can't just say, all right, I want to meet the Dalai Lama on Wednesday at, you know, June 2nd. You don't have that power, right? Like, they actually have more power than Jeff Bezos, right? And Elon Musk or whoever. So if there is like a legitimate teacher, they're running a retreat, they're doing some sort of event, there's some sort of thing that it's important to Aaron that he thinks that it's going to help him grow as a person, be a better person, and even a better football player. Because that is what Robert Salah said. He said it's important to Aaron, so it's important to us. And so that is what I think, that's what it potentially is. Because I don't think just like a vacation is important to Aaron. I don't think he's just out there, right? Just like eating baguettes and croissants in France. Like, I just don't think he's doing that. So I think this is a more spiritual type thing. And if it is, then he doesn't have the freedom just to pick and choose whenever he wants, which is why it just so happens that it's during this time. And then I am a lot more forgiving, because I'm very confident, especially considering we know how Christian the NFL is, and especially with God, you know, specifically and all that if it was more Christian and prayer related, then he would probably have a tremendous amount more support. I think he would still have people that get frustrated and would poke holes on it, but they would still have a little bit more support, and if anything, would potentially even inspire some of the more Christian players around the league and like it more and would be more interested. But like I said before, Aaron definitely comes from a different spiritual side of that thing, doing things more from like a Buddhist perspective or a Hindu perspective or whatever, just something that's a little bit less, you know, God, Jesus, Christian oriented and more meditative and like kind of looking more inner rather than kind of up at a higher power, higher being, you know, God, however we want to define it. And again, this could be completely wrong. I'm actually really curious to see how this is going to age, because like I said, apparently it's going to be recorded tomorrow. And the truth is, most people don't, the videos usually don't start to get like actual views and engagement until within a couple days. So it'll be really funny to see how this ages, but that would be my guess, honestly. So I'm excited to see what this looks like. Hopefully I'm right. If not, then can't wait to have everyone tell me how dumb I am in the comments. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? Where do you think Aaron is? Is he on vacation? Is he doing something spiritual? Does it even matter? Either way, should he have been there? Is it okay that he missed? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.